warmed up.
All right, let's see.
I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back.
Okay, we're gonna...
Been line yet?
Why don't... Yep, we're live.
Whoa!
He did it.
That's so cool.
Now we're just gonna look for the pop-out chat button, which I can never seem to find.
I would trade...
Oh, I found it. It sounds like a menu. Why do they put it there?
Metropolis, I would trade your pole position in a second for a Sega Blast City. Because you can get another pole position easily. But... yeah. I'll tell you what, I'll bring you a pole position. You trade it. I'll come get the Blast City, and you can have a pole position back.
You'll have to go to Canada to do that, so good luck.
I gotta go to Canada and get my Armor Attack cocktail.
It's still there?
Heck yeah!
You need to somehow put that in where a tire goes or something.
I'll just take the trailer up.
Sure.
So we're building. Oh, so I can talk about this in what we're doing, but Tyler and I are building well, I can talk about it now. We're building a trailer, and we got an RV, and the RV has one bed. So great for Susan and I, not great if Susan, Tyler, and Deegan and I all go camping. And evidently, the world has gotten too, I don't know what you want to call it, to sleep on the ground because the tent seems to be out. So we're building a camper trailer, kind of like a 5x10. But part of the incentive to get the boys involved in it is we're going to make this like a gaming trailer.
Haha.
So I'm going to retain the ability to tow it around, do some cargo stuff. It's got to be under 7 feet tall so it fits in the garage. But we're putting a big screen TV on the barn door that folds out, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Good time. Yeah.
Hello,
welcome.
So I could take that up and just be like, the cocktail was always there.
Hey, chatters, this is Ben Grainger over here. He is going to be a guest host tonight. A ghost host, a guest host, etc., etc., etc.
Your ghost host. That's a quote from The Haunted Mansion.
Sweet. I hope there's people that know Ben in the audience tonight, because it'll be fun. I know Ben. Ben, you bought some arcade games for me.
You did. Some beautiful machines that I got to tell you. So one of them was Pac-Man that has the Billy Mitchell and his score.
Yeah.
And right away my arcade guy was like, so to deal with that Pac-Man, you selling that? Or I'm like, well, yeah, it'll have a price on it. And I could tell him he's sniffing around at it, and he's got some stuff I want. So I'm like, this might be the trade bait piece.
Nice.
That gets him to come off Indiana Jones or some of the other pieces I'm kind of been eyeballing in this collection.
Yeah.
So.
I'll do a little.
Because I figure, you guys can have Billy come over anytime and drop a few $100,000 on Pac-Man, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, of course.
Yeah, that's a nice Pac-Man machine. I'm glad that went to a good home. So as long as you trade it to another good home, I'm fine with that.
Oh, is that where the Pac-Man is now? Nice.
Yeah.
So that started out, Ben, as Mark's Pac-Man.
Nice. Okay. Full circle.
And it never got further than my storage unit. So Adam saved it for my storage unit. I got it from a guy who had only the heads of pinball in his garage. No bodies. It was like a freaking graveyard of the head of old pinball machines in there.
Yeah.
And it had one Pac-Man.
I think I know what I want.
Mm-hmm. So, I suppose we should just hit the button at this point.
Yeah, I mean, man, we're efficient.
I don't know. It seems like we are, at least today.
I mean, everybody can hear us this time, right? So,
Yeah, you're not getting a weird echo this time, are you, Mark?
I don't even have the audio unmuted, so let's.
Whoa.
Testing 1 2. Testing.
No echo.
Oh, it sounds delicious, actually.
All right,
Good
sounds
job.
good.
Ooh, yummy.
Yeah.
Tasty audio.
All right,
Hit the button.
Let's hit the button.
Do it.
All right.
Live from KOYR Studios. This is Todd Rogers, the king of video games, and you're listening to Arcade Radio.
What's new? What's new? What's new?
Did you know that Chuck E. Cheese was born inside Atari?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's new? What's new? What's new? God, I'm sick of that question.
No matter what I say, it draws controversy.
Get down.
Videomania has gripped the universe. So what's the score?
Roger, 0J, and I feel fine. Is there anybody actually going to listen to this?
No.
That's one of the greatest lines.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for listening for the Arcadosphere. This is Season 7, Episode 3, the Arcade Radio Podcast. Today is Thursday, December 15th, 2022, and the time is now approximately 7:21 p.m. Central. I'm your host, Adam Duran. I'm joined by my co-host, Mark Pygar Shields, and last and least, Paradise Arcade Shop proprietor and part-time Labyrinth designer, it's Brian Thurston Howell Armitage the Third. And tonight, Minneapolis pinball wizard Benjamin Franklin Grainger joins the Arcade Radio crew as our guest host. Yeah, that's a little golf clap for that, all right?
All right.
It's probably
Great
one
job, us.
I'm telling you, I'm getting good at these intros. I think that might be the first one I haven't stumbled on in about, I don't know how many times.
I like it. You completed it. It's very beautiful.
What you been working on, Mark?
Well, let's see. First of all, I'm back. I would like to apologize for ditching the last show.
That was a sad moment for everybody.
It was. Apparently, within about 15 minutes, my temperature rose like 3 degrees,
Oh, goodness.
and I had to leave. I was sick, and so through the rest of the show, I was like curled up in a ball and off to the side. So, yeah, I'm fully recovered now. I'm testing negative. Wink, wink. So we're all good.
Good. I'm glad you're not pregnant.
Just terrible, man. But after all that, I did manage to grab a Defender. It does not have a silver coin door, but I'm working on that.
Just point of fact, the
Yes.
the silver coin door and the black coin door are not the same size.
No, what?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna.
So
Does that mean?
they may not fit if you put it? If you
That's
try to
what
put
she
it-
said.
Yeah.
So wait, I gotta figure it out then. Like, is the silver coin door bigger?
I think it is. Yeah, because that was original, and those were pinball parts originally. Oh,
Right.
look, tie-in. It's a pinball part.
Oh, there you go.
So
Well, okay. Well, then I'll try to temper my disappointment.
also,
I
did
got
you
home-
know?
What?
Also, did you know that the power supply inside a Defender is the same one they used in tons of their pinball machines?
Oh, I did not know that either. Have
Yeah.
to check that out. With the three LEDs on
Yep.
the base.
Yep.
Interesting.
I rebuilt
just lear-
mine. It works
I actu-
great.
I learned that those LEDs just mean there is power. It doesn't mean they're exactly at the right amount. What kind of bullshit's that?
Power is present.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
Other than that, of note, my DeLorean clutch went out. It's been 12 years since it went out last time. That's not a bad journey. So I got to figure that out.
That's a long time for a clutch to last.
Right? Well, I don't really drive it that much, so. Anyway, it went out, and I had to wait 3.5 hours for the tow truck. That was the best part, and I was in a sketch part of town. But yeah.
I got to see another DeLorean this weekend.
What? Where was that at?
I was out visiting Aaron Schmidt.
Oh, does he own one?
He does. Was sitting next to his Lamborghini, and he said he needs to downsizes cars a little bit. So I said, this white and blue one sitting over here, I'll take that home with me. He goes, the Shelby Cobra. I'm like, does that have a Cobra on the front of it? Yeah,
what?
I mean, if you'd force me to.
Man.
Yeah.
Nice.
One of my neighbors had one of those when I was growing up, and her parents gave it to her as her car for high school. Everybody else is driving these pieces of crap, and she pulls up in a Cobra with rally stripes, and she's like 3.5 feet tall. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are you working on, Brian?
Let's see. I picked up another Star Trek because,
Why
you
not?
never have too many Star Treks. I bought these two at Captain's. And so that's been the acquisitions for the last week. And I picked up, and a Kubert cocktail, which is actually fully working. I just need to rebuild the board. It's going up to Starcade. So what I've been working on, though, is I've been working on actually Quick and Crash, which seems to have a problem with the driver board for the flash bulb. And I'll take 2 seconds to describe this. It's like the coolest. I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with like xenon flash bulbs, but they basically hold a constant voltage across the bulb. There's a giant capacitor, and then none of the current can move because the gas is not ionized. They have this 1,000-volt wire wrapped around it, and to flash it, they hit the wire with like 1,200 volts. It ionizes the gas, and all of a sudden you get this capacitor discharge, and it creates a flash. So the circuit is fascinating. It's really a lot of fun, but for some reason the capacitor isn't charging. The optical amps aren't working. It's a goofy thing. So anyhow, working on that now.
What the hell is that?
It's Adam playing around with his little board.
Too bad you don't have the ice cold beer to start.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do have these to get rid of though.
Oh, nice. Thanks. Those are my drop targets.
Disappear,
I shouldn't have left those there.
I don't know. The snowblower really chewed them up well.
Somewhere around here, I have Pac-Man Plus stickers. I think that originated with Adam.
Yeah.
What?
That's actually part of what I've been working
I do
on.
have.
I don't got nothing.
We are the knights who say.
That's about it.
Okay, that's great. Well, Ben, tell us what you've been working on recently. Have you been doing any tournaments? I mean, don't go too much detail because we're gonna ask you later. But
yeah, well, like I said, I've been there's a state tournament I've been working hard to get into, getting back into running some stuff too, but mainly focused on these the three things I'm involved in now: operating Eau Claire Games and Arcade.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please? Repeat.
Operating just my locations, Eau Claire Games and Arcade.
Oh, okay.
And now the Starcade project, which we'll get into, but
sweet.
And then 2 kids, and it's like, well, how many hours are in the day again? So,
hey, well,
but the last game I worked on that really fought me was a Williams Pokerino, and it's 78 Williams System 3 pinball, and I had it at a couple different techs. I had the boards done, and I was getting weird, just very strange switch issues where sometimes it would I'd leave it sitting, and 30 minutes later I'd hear the bonus countdown. I'd just hear the ball end, and could not for the life of me figure it out. I finally looked up some deep diving on the internet and found out actually there's supposed to be some switches in the coin door that are wired in one of the couple of the matrix circuits, and sure enough, I look and there's a wire that wasn't part of the wiring on the playfield, which I'm kind of laser focused on that.
Sure. And
the associated diodes and switches, and I can't find anything out of the ordinary. Well, here's this one stray wire, and it's actually tucked into. It was supposed to be on a coin switch. It's actually somebody tucked it into one of the diagnostic switches. They just looked at it and thought, hey, that wire probably goes right there. And it tucked it in, wasn't soldered, so it's got this, this loose connection that is occasionally grounding out. And Those are the kind of issues you love because somebody messed with it. Somebody fixed it already.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And it takes like 5 times as long. So, but got it sorted out, and it's got its new home, and I don't have to look at Pokerino anymore. So
Nice.
yeah, it's not the best. It's when they started making wide bodies just because, I guess. And it's like there's miles of playfield in between shots, and you're like, why did you do this? Like, it was working over at Bally, so
Yeah.
Pre-merger.
On Atari did a bunch of wide body.
Yeah, Atari. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I've been working on is actually my Buck Rogers pinball I got a couple weeks ago. And since I purchased it, I had ordered a Knee Wumpf CPU board. So it's
Knee Wumpf.
Knee Wumpf.
Oh my God.
So, anyway, it's
just have Monty Python and the Holy Grail running through my head now. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Well, it's that's what the company's name is it's the sound that they Knee Wumpf. Anyhow, I put the CPU board in, which actually solved a couple of problems because of bad connections on the display boards, which are now all working perfectly. I also, when I bought the game, somebody had the soundboard had stopped working. So rather than order a new one, they took it out and they put a chime box in from, an electromechanical Gottlieb machine. So in order to do this, they cut 4 wires. They really only needed 3, but they cut the 4th one just so they could get a length of wire to do what they needed to do to wire up the chime box. So they butchered the existing harness, and then they put in this chime box. And so Buck Rogers was going ding, 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 and it's supposed to have all these wicked, space sounds and whatever else. So
yeah,
and so I bought a replacement soundboard from France, the Pascal dude. Put that in. I soldered the harness back together and heat wrapped that thing and got it all tied up with, for nice and neat. Plugged it, mounted the new board, plugged it in, selected the game, boom, got my Buck Rogers sounds back. So now it's not only playing the sounds correctly, it's got, a brand new CPU board, which actually adds features to the game.
Mm-hmm.
It adds a ball save. Which I'm not fond of ball saving on an older pin, but I set it to 4 seconds. So if you drain in 4 seconds from the time it hits the first contact in the game, I figure that's a fair enough do-over. But 4 seconds is a lot of time, so
it's an eternity.
Yeah.
What's a standard ball save anyway these days?
Well, usually, like in a modern machine, it'll say ball save, and it'll kick out a ball.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like 15 seconds or something standard.
Yeah,
15 would be long. I think you're looking at 8 to 10.
Interesting.
Yeah. I set mine
yeah, because I know I've adjusted them to be longer, and some of them max out at 15 seconds.
Yeah. This one will let you go up to like.
Eight-ish.
Yeah, this one will let you go up to like almost a full minute. Which is dumb. Like you just never. That's like free play.
Blasphemy. That's blasphemy.
Yeah, no, not right.
I had it set to 7 seconds, but I was getting too many free balls. So
that's what she said. Oh man. What?
Anyhow, Buck Rogers is all kinds of work being done on that. I LED'd out the entire play field. Still a lot of surface incandescence that you can see, so it sort of still has that 70s vibe. Although I do have to say this. Comet Pinball has a new 2 SMD LED that looks like an incandescent when it's lit. It's a warm white. It's got a very nice reflective dome, clear dome, and if you're not looking really close, they are remarkably similar to an incandescent, although they're brighter. So I'm going to experiment with using those up top, which is the first time I've tried that. But it's pretty cool. They look really, really nice. And they've redesigned the domes so they fit in all of the pinball holes. Because some of the older SMDs, they wouldn't fit. You'd try to, and they wouldn't go down enough. So
and Gottlieb's were notorious. From my going off memory, there's Gottlieb's, maybe Sega and Data East. There's some of those that you couldn't, that little cuff that's on the LED does not fit through the hole, and you either have to bore the hole out, or what I do, which is just shave off the edge of the LED, which of course it's pretty time consuming, and you feel silly doing it, but it's like, well,
yeah, and also they tend to break off,
right?
So then you're just kind of stuck where you. Well, you can do that too. You can break them off and then just get rid of that whole lip altogether. But anyhow, yeah. So that's
a great game. That's a great game. I mean, that Buck Rogers, this Gottlieb System 1's pretty underrated, and I think they're starting to get a following again because they're just the simplicity of those rule sets and kind of a lot of those single ball play games. I think a lot of people are starting to see the. How little they had to work with, and how, they squeeze a lot out of that, limited switches, limited solenoids, and those System 1 driver boards could only run, I think 8. I think it was 8 offhand. I'm thinking 8-ish transistors, and then so my Countdown has 2 additional underplay field transistors. So it's like right away they're kind of trying to add a little more, but. Just the way the rule sets are designed, it's like, okay, clear all these, you get a multiplier, but it's easier said than done.
Right.
And I routed one of those for a while, and it was one of the top played games, surprisingly. Like, people just love that Buck Rogers.
Well, I gotta say, I like Solid State because that's sort of my era. And they're more obtainable than, modern pinball. So I have a Mr. and Mrs. Pack, I have a Xenon, and I have Buck Rogers, and then I have a Pioneer EM. And since I've gotten Buck Rogers working, I am just enamored. I mean, the ball assist with the multiplier at the top, where you kick that spoon back and you get the multiplier.
Yep.
That is really cool. And then the way the top is laid out, you can't bounce back and forth between BU and CK. For the 4 lanes, so it spells Buck, and so it's really, they added a skill shot on the new CPU, which I was going to mention as well, and so it lights up either BU or C or K, which is really, really fun and challenging. So you get a 10,000 point bonus just for hitting that skill shot, which is super fun. And what a way to start your game off, right? Like. Right out of the gate. Maybe it's 5,000. Anyway, it's
what are those the NIWOMF MPUs cost, by the way?
It was $234.
Okay. Just because I've always got the Pascal all-in-one. If I'm going that route, I'll get the Pascal Janin 4-in-1 that replaces everything. And
and I was gonna do that, but it's expensive.
I'm
so
guessing they're over $400 now, huh?
Yeah, it's about 460. Wow. And the thing is though, all those boards, I mean, if you add it up, it's a good deal. But I kind of like having the isolated parts. So NIWOMF's going to release a new driver board as well. And I'll eventually buy that when he comes out with those again. And then I got a power board from a guy in Florida for the System 1, and that is, I forget the name of it now. It's not Rotten Dog, it's not Pascal, it is, what the hell is it called? Anyway, yeah, just look up System 1 power board on eBay, you'll see them. And there's one guy making them in Florida, and they're great.
All tech.
Not All-Tech.
Damn it!
All-Tech doesn't make Gottlieb power boards.
No.
It's interesting because with now I'm going to forget his name, Poughkeepsie, owning the licensing, Steve Young, owns, Gottlieb stuff. So, for instance, you can't find schematics online. Typically, if somebody reposted portions of them, you can get lucky. But, Steve would like you to buy them from him since he purchased the licenses, which, understandable. But I always wondered how those deals, because I don't see him selling those boards. So I thought, like Planetary, for example, they've been willing to license all the Williams stuff, but they want, exclusivity. They want, hey, you can make this, but we want to sell it. And you can sell it, but we want to be the only ones to sell it, which, it makes a lot of sense, but...
Brian might be able to answer that question.
Yeah, I know Planetary will allow you to sell, like, I think what you're saying, Ben, is sell your own. Yeah. But then they want to get a certain portion of it. And the way Planetary normally works it is whatever you make, they want you to give them a certain percentage of the boards you produce, as opposed to paying a percentage of the income that you make, which is a little different for licenses. Steve, my understanding with Steve so far is I'm not aware of any sub-licensing that he's done. But you need to remember, so circuit boards you cannot license. I mean, you cannot copyright.
That's what I was, when you were talking, I was sort of thinking, is that exempt or is that something?
So you can't copyright the circuit board, but you can copyright the programs that run the circuit board. Right. Okay. But people have a right to repair. So then you get into the debate about whether, if you have the game already, are you allowed to then load ROMs onto that circuit board and run it because you own the ROMs and you have a right to repair your own stuff. So it all depends on which state you're in as to whether you have the right to repair. I don't even know the rules in Canada. Sorry, Metropolis. But the key thing is that a lot of these guys, where they get into trouble is when they produce a board and they say, this is a Gottlieb board, they put a Gottlieb logo on it. That's what they get dinged for, not actually producing the board.
Yeah. So like this guy producing the golf is Golf Pinball, and he's
okay. Yeah.
And so he's not putting any Gottlieb name on there, but it's a it's a repair component. So, and it's only $75, and it's supposed to be awesome. So.
And if he says, you're buying a new replacement power supply for all Gottlieb System 1 games, that's fine. It can be a replacement power supply.
Yeah.
It just is not a Gottlieb power supply. That's where people get into a little bit of the sticky wicket stuff.
Nice. Yeah, so I've been working on that thing, and the gadget section, I guess we'll talk about that. Brian, want to do the gadgets next?
Our non-violation of the violation of the copyrights? Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I always felt that the true stars at Atari was engineering.
Oh, you're an inventor.
Yes, I am.
What have you invented?
A lot of things.
Like?
Like a lot of things. Like things that you've heard of.
Like?
Well, things that you will have heard of, okay? Patents are pending.
Arcade Gadgets with Brian McLeod.
Welcome to the gadget segment. I have one very quick, simple gadget, which I've talked about before. I'll just show you guys. I don't know that I've ever shown this, but this is the new Williams joystick. So this is actually the final version. Stainless steel bottom, brass pivots. Everything else is pretty similar. We may change this bar in here a little bit, but and it obviously doesn't have the leaf springs or the switches on there yet. So
now is that considered a Williams joystick or a Taito?
So this is the same joystick used for Williams for ice cold beer. So this would be Joust, ice cold beer, Defender, Stargate, and actually
Moon Patrol.
Yeah, you could use it for Moon Patrol.
Interesting.
So the cool thing is that, like most other Japanese joysticks, you can unscrew the top.
What?
So you can put whatever color ball you want on there.
Cool. You can customize
you choose your ball color. You want blue balls? We can get you blue balls.
Ah,
nice.
So
I like a red ball.
These will be available on the shop site. So I'm trying to target about $29.99 for these, all built out with leaf switches and the springs, like everything done. And then just buy a ball top separately. But that's it. there's still a little bit of pricing left to do on it.
Sweet. Well, the
The
next gadget I'll bring up, and then we can talk about customization. On a personal level, I think this isn't probably. It's probably not illegal if you're only producing one for yourself.
What?
I don't know.
No. So you're allowed to build stuff for yourself, and you have the right to do that. And you can do these things in limited quantity. You just can't profit from them.
Right. So, Gottlieb, Buck Rogers, again, sorry for the redundancy here, but their pop bumpers are a standard Gottlieb star. These were used on Pioneer. There was one of these on a Pioneer. The other two were reversed, with the red star being on the outside and a blue star being on the inside. Buck Rogers has the blue with the red star on the middle. So, anyway, this is an original Buck Rogers Gottlieb pop bumper replacement from Steve Young at Pinball Resource. They still have the original Gottlieb equipment that hot stamps these. So they actually make Gottlieb pop bumpers with the Gottlieb equipment. So some guy has to stand there with a film and press this 2 or 3 times. I think he does it twice. And then they do a clear coat on them, I think. So they're nice and tough. But one of mine was original, and it lost one of these little tiny ears. So they don't stick so good. So I got the idea, though. The Buck Rogers Pinball sort of missed an opportunity for the pop bumper. So if you're familiar with Buck Rogers in the 25th century, there's a character called Dr. Theopolis, and he's a round robot that hangs around one of the robot ambiquad Tweaky's neck, and he's the intelligence in the room, and he sort of offers advice on the show. But
he's
anyway,
like the AI in
right.
a portable dish.
Yeah, he's a robot, right?
Right.
But they're more than robots, because in the first episode there's like a whole council of these things that judge Buck Rogers. But anyway, I decided that I wanted to do something special. So Brian graciously helped me with his high-end printer. What kind of printer is it?
It's a Roland Direct Print.
Okay.
So LEF 300.
And so if you look that up, it's not a cheap printer. But it can print UV ink. What you tell us about the printing process, Brian?
So you can print UV ink to a number of different surfaces. The only time you get into trouble is when you have surfaces with low surface energy, so like a nylon. So the pop bumpers are ABS. So they have a nice surface energy, so you can get adhesion of the ink. So anything epoxy will stick to, this ink will stick to.
And the nice thing about it is it's as good or in some ways better than screening, because you get a lot better detail.
You can do a lot of half tones. You can do a lot of stuff. It's like printing a 1200 DPI printer, but to any part you want. So, yeah. So we had some fun with them. So
yesterday I had drawn up these Dr. Theopolises, and you can see it's got a clear coat on it. Let me switch the camera to.
That is freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, let me switch it to me here, so now you can get a better look on the podcast here. So, but yeah, look at the detail on that. Isn't that cool? Now,
Who did the vector for that? Where did that come from?
Well, we vectored it. At first, I only made PNGs because it was kind of in a hurry. But normally I would have vectored it. But yesterday we vectored it. But let me show you here, lit up, if I can.
What?
It's gonna be too bright.
I'm ready.
I don't know if we can show, but you can kind of see.
A little too bright. Oh.
How's that look?
Oh,
I like that. Yeah.
The light.
That's not too bad. So that's what it looks like in the machine. So.
Wow.
Anyhow, they look fantastic. It's such a better motif for the Buck Rogers Pinball. So the other thing I've done is, and I'll show this I'll probably do a video that I'll share on the show at some point. But I've done drop targets, characters for the drop targets to replace the standard they have a bullseye and 500 numbers. So I think I might have mentioned this a little bit last week, or 2 weeks ago, but I can't recall because I've been talking about it nonstop. So anyhow, I took over your gadget section.
No, that's so. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Some of the stuff we can do. I'm gonna actually open these drop targets here, much to your dismay. So when you have something like this, we could print on that. These are nylon though, so they might not adhere as well. And then this has a very shiny surface, so we may just sand this a little bit to get the ink to adhere.
Hold it up a little bit higher so that they can see it.
Yep. Here. So this surface is a little shiny, so we'll just roughen it up a little bit, and then I'll do a primer on there as well. But you can print. So what's funny about the printer is even with this type of detail on here, this little bump, the head has to go really close because it is an inkjet. You just have to level this out. And there's a mode on there that you can do print at a distance, and it makes a much finer cone or a much finer mist of ink coming out. Takes about 4 times as long, but the droplets are much more directed. So, and as Adam can attest, each pop bumper took 20 minutes to print from start to finish?
Well, if we were paying attention, I figured it was down to about 8.5 minutes per pop bumper if you were standing right next to the machine, ready to swap it out. But yeah, we'd forget and have to hit the button and, whatever. So.
And what's funny is for little jobs like that where you're doing one-offs, it's 8 minutes per pop bumper. But you can also line basically 10 pop bumpers up. So exactly 15 pop bumpers up with the size of the tray. And we could print all of them at once, but if you're off at all, it's done. So for production, it would take 8 minutes to print 15 or 8 minutes to print 1 as a prototype.
Yeah.
So
we made a few so that I could, hopefully not have any damaged, but I've got a couple extras. So it's kind of nice. I've got 2 on the machine right now, and I've got 4 extras. One that was a little bit bigger for some reason on our first print. But still nice to have the extras and kind of fun to bring new life to this classic pinball machine that's already super fun to play. But now I've added also my little Buck Rogers Starship that I had on the show 2 weeks ago, and it's mounted right in the shoot lane. So when the ball shoots out, there's a little Buck Rogers Starfighter that it goes underneath. And then it goes out on it. Really
Man, nice. I want to get a Charlie's Angels Gottlieb one and put the little dolls in there. Yeah. Wait.
That probably won't work, but
I used to own one, and then they were telling me I owned it. I owned a Cleopatra, a Charlie's Angels, and then one other one. When I was in Philly, and then they told me, "Oh, you get to go back to Texas," and I sold them. And then the next day they said, "Oh no, your contract's renewed," and I'm so pissed. But it's a sad story. Yeah. Anyway, yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, so we're I think that brings us to the news or something.
Yeah, why not?
All right, let's.
Good evening.
The arcade news, arcades, pinball, industry alumni, arcade openings, selecting, celebrities, world record holders, operators, coin-out, conventions. The arcade news.
We interrupt. They've been elected.
And now, the arcade news with
Adam Stevens.
That's me again. Boy, I've been talking a lot this episode.
Okay, doesn't matter.
From Engadget.com, Atari revives unreleased arcade game that was too damn hard for 1982 players. That's interesting to me that this comes up. I know exactly what game this is. It's ACR. So, right?
Yes.
Atari is reviving ACR, a 1982 arcade game canceled because test audiences found it too difficult. For the Wave Shooters remake, the publisher is teaming up with... Okay, so they're actually going to remake this thing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. They're making a modern version.
Yeah.
It's the guy that did Tempest 4000.
Yes.
And 2000, actually. Both 2000 and 4000. They're both awesome games.
I haven't checked out 4000.
Yeah.
Is it double the fun?
Yeah. It's on Switch and I think maybe Steam. I'm not sure. It's on Switch for sure. Really, really, really psychedelic. So Jeff Minter, whose psychedelic synthwave style seems an ideal fit for what Atari describes as a fever dream in the best way possible. The remake will be released on PC, PS5, and PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and Atari VCS in early 2023. And that's after some dispute that they had, apparently. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. But I think that was the previous copyright holders of Atari's stuff.
Right.
Trademark holders, whatever. So the original ACR cabinet used a trackball and to target the enemies as the player controls the Sentinel fixed in the center of the screen to fend off waves of incoming attackers. Have you guys played this game?
I've seen you play it on your little thing next to you.
Yeah.
You had...
Yeah. It's on one of the 1-ups, actually.
Yep.
The Centipede 1-up Partycade. They released it as soon as they got a hold of that ROM. Is that mentioned in here too? Surrounding the Sentinel is an
I know, right?
Octagonal field. You don't say the word octagonal very often.
The Octagon. It's starring Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
It is a movie. Look it up.
Oh my gosh. Which you need to keep clear. So as the enemies come in, you can zoom in to defend your base and panning out. It is actually a little bit complicated, but once you've learned to play it, I think it's kind of easy. So I've been playing it on Switch because it's on Switch right now too, in the Atari 50 collection. So if you haven't picked that up yet, it's on Xbox and Switch. I'm not sure if it's on PS. I think it's on PS4, but download only. So, So since Atari pulled the plug on the arcade version before its release, there was only 3 ACR cabinets known to exist. But the Minter collaboration isn't the game's first public availability. After an arcade ROM leaked online in 2019, Atari released the original this fall as part of its Atari 50 Anniversary Celebration collection. And also on the 1-up machine, which nobody mentioned. Atari and Minter worked together in the 1990s as his company, Lamasoft, created games like Tempest 2000 for the Atari Jaguar. Unfortunately, the two had a falling out in 2015 when Atari blocked Minter's spiritual successor of that title from release. However, the two sides patched things up in 2018, and then Tempest 4000 was released. So, check those things out. And this one is from pushsquare.com. Kung Fury Street Rage joins Arcade Paradise. Well, that sounds like it's related to Brian.
I know. I thought
Paradise
that
Arcade
as well.
I don't know.
Where'd he go? He's not even here to enjoy the...
Well, that's what you get. Sometimes, it's just about...
He knows something you don't.
Yeah, that's right.
He had to leave.
So
there was going to be a tell. He was gonna give himself away. He's involved.
Right. So Arcade
anything
Paradise,
with Paradise in it.
The unorthodox Tycoon mini, the unorthodox Tycoon minigame compilation mashup from Nosebleed Interactive already has roughly 35 original arcade cabinets inside it, but a collaboration between the Newcastle-based developer and Hello There Games has culminated in the release of the title's first licensed in-game cabinet, which is Kung Fury Street Rage. Inspired by the viral short film starring David Hasselhoff, the cabinet will cost just $2.99 to add to your game. And this is quite a meaty edition. You can pick from 4 different characters where you'll fight endless waves of enemies in the 1980s inspired arcade homage. As DLC for the Arcade Paradise, there will probably be new goals and objectives, etc., etc. In a way, it's kind of weird that this is launching within Arcade Paradise, as it's already available natively on the PS Store. But if you've already been transforming your local laundromat into the ultimate gaming haven, then adding this cabinet to your collection is going to be pretty much essential, right? I mean, it's due out on January 12th as DLC, so check it out. And I think we have a little video clip we're going to show, right? Right.
Nice. Yes.
So let's roll the film on this. Here we go.
Where do we look?
Oh, this is it. that was last year's or last week.
Oh no! What the hell?
That was like an ET Atari commercial. Let's check this one out. There we go. I think I'll have to have that.
That looks kind of badass.
Yeah.
I mean, they had me at Hasselhoff, but but the video was cool too, though.
Yeah,
that's really cool. Yeah, that's kind of fun. I guess that leads us to our next segment, which is
Back in '82, I used to be able to throw a pigskin quarter mile.
Back to the Cade with Time Runner.
Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
Hey everybody, and welcome to Back to the Cade. We're going to start off tonight's segment with another bit of Back to the Future news. This is the third time we've done it. This is the third episode of episode 7. We're being consistent. Yeah! So the DeLorean, which my clutch is out on that, the time-traveling vehicle that Michael J. Fox's character, Marty McFly, rode into the future, was among the most famous cars in movie history, of course. Now, 4 decades later, the iconic symbol of 1980s Hollywood is in the middle of a legal fight.
Oh, no.
Yes, the Texas-based owner of the DeLorean car trademark is suing NBC Universal, alleging it has not paid the royalties they're owed. In a federal court lawsuit filed in Los Angeles this week, the DeLorean Motor Company, just 15 miles away from me, by the way, said it acquired the intellectual property and trademarks for the DeLorean in 1997, and that NBC Universal is in breach of the contract. The company alleges that under a deal that the creator of the futuristic car struck with NBC Universal, it has a right to 5% of the revenue from merchandising and commercial tie-ups connected to the films. NBC Universal, owner of the Universal Pictures Film Studio, has denied the allegations. And also an NBC spokesman was not immediately available for comment. So from toys to posters to lunchboxes, the company said NBC Universal uses the car to promote its products. It's been featured in other films such as Ready Player One, but without DMC's authorization. DMC is seeking damages to be determined at trial. So that's a lot of fun.
That's kind of weird, considering the long history that DeLorean had being sued, and now somebody else owns the copyright. Now they're suing everyone else.
Right. Now I know those guys; they're pretty good guys.
That's good.
And they're so busy, I can't just drop off my car there like I used to. Like they were like, "Hey, Mark, put it in there. We'll put you ahead of everybody." They're so busy, they can't even do that. So
that sounds like a ripoff.
Bastards. Anyway, so that's our Back to the Future news from the Back to the Cade segment, and we're going to move on to the second half where we ask out loud,
what's in the juke?
Welcome to the Season 7 premiere. Oh, shit, it's not the premiere. Welcome to the Season 7 edition of What's in the Juke. It is the game within a game within a podcast. Today, we feature super short, isolated audio tracks from a retro technology we used to call television. Brian Thurston Howell Armitage will be your scorekeeper. If you can guess the title of the theme song, you will get...
half point.
That's right. If you can guess the name of the television network that featured this show, you will also get...
half point.
If you can guess both... Guess both? If you can guess both...
Full point.
Okay. If you don't know either, fight it out amongst yourselves. Okay. Hit him in the nuts. Oh, now that the fighting is over, let's
begin. Okay, Garrett, right. Here comes your first track. Wait a minute, I already played this.
No, you did not.
There's no way
Why
we
do
could
we have
be...
the 60 minutes?
Wait, no, you're not supposed to say that.
Oh, they got it.
They got it.
Yeah. I'm like, this is getting annoying. I thought there was something clicking in the background. I didn't know it was that. That's really funny. All right, so we've got Jabaruga with 60 minutes and CBS.
And Brian with 1/2 point.
Half point.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Full point.
Okay, let's try this again. Next track.
Going through life with blinders on, it's tough to see.
Oh my gosh. They had the worst shows.
They did, and this was a tough one to pick through these.
Oh, here we go.
Going through life with blinders on, it's tough to see.
It must be interesting to have like 8 shows that you show and one of them be good.
Now, the show was on the way out. It was sort of a spin-off.
Yeah.
Okay, Jabaruga got the up, and Joe Drosen got Alice.
Point.
So that was Alice, and it's CBS. And the first one was 60 minutes, and it was CBS.
Right.
Okay, here comes your next track.
Those were the days.
Oh, jeez.
Family Guy. Wait.
Oh, God, I hated that intro. It absolutely made me sick when my parents watched that show.
It is a cringe. I never watched the spin-off Archie. Wait.
That's
Never
fine.
mind.
That's
Let's
fine.
wait. Oh, they already got it. Look.
They got it. I've got like the bottom of my screen here. Oh, you did this again. Okay. It is All in the Bath, All in the Family, CBS, Jabaruga. I don't know if Metropolis is doing CBS for Alice or for... I'm going to give that all to Jabaruga.
All right.
Scoring discretion.
That's right. Judges prerogative.
Yeah, so I tuned into All in the Family on accident the other day when I was on Freevee or Roku channel or something. And it was the episode where Edith had been assaulted.
Oh, God.
And it was the worst. I mean, they were trying to be progressive.
Did you cringe?
Oh, it was beyond cringeworthy. It was, oh my God. If there was a character that had to cringe on SpongeBob, his name would be Cringeworth.
Yes.
And that's who I was. I was Cringeworth.
That's a great idea for a cartoon. I'm writing that down.
All right. All right.
Moving on.
Your next
Moving
track.
on.
Yeah.
He's there just to take good care of me, like he's one of the family.
Oh my gosh.
That's way too sexy. This show.
You know what's funny too is that lyric is terrible. Like, let's listen to that again.
He's there just to take good care of me, like he's one of the family.
Oh, hey, that's
It literally sounds like a porno intro.
Yeah, it's like incest porn.
Grinwing
That's
with
gross.
Charles in charge. Nobody's gotten the station yet, although Jabaruga did say syndication, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Apparently, I hear that it was on a certain network that Canada is involved in.
Mr. Peabody.
Mr. Peabody's
It's
a network?
CBS.
Yes.
Where are we at with the scores anyway?
We're 4 songs in. We got to do a few more.
Okay.
Jabaruga's killing everybody, and there's 3 people in tie for second place.
We only have 9 this week, so we'll have to stop after the not this one, but the next one. Okay, here we go.
Someday the mountain might get 'em, but the law never will.
Oh, he's not very. He's a little out of tune.
Isn't it horrible how he ended that? I never knew it was.
Yeah.
It almost sounded like I don't
the
know how to sing.
mountain might get 'em, but the law never will.
Jabaruga with Dukes of Hazzard, CBS.
Dukes of Hazzard,
Jeez.
CBS. That's right. All right. So we've had 60 minutes. Alice, All in the Family, Charles in Charge, Dukes of Hazzard, What is next?
Well, we're moving on now. Moving on up.
Oh, that's I am keeping that clip. That is awesome.
Grinwing gets CBS.
Half point.
I love it when they figure it
and
out.
Metropolis gets the Jeffersons.
Okay.
Half point.
All right. Okay, now we're halfway through. Brian, what are we at?
We have Jabaruga at 3.5, Grinwing at 1, and everybody else a half point.
Oof. All right, here comes your next round.
Through early morning fog I see.
Now this is not true, Mark.
Well, if you were to listen to the song that it's based on, that's the lyric.
Grinwing with half point, Jabaruga with half point for MASH and CBS.
Half point.
So they did not want to pay this band royalties for the TV show, so they recorded a different version of it.
Now it's interesting too because the song is not called MASH.
No, not at all.
Hold it. To the chatters, whoever gets the name of the song first, you get a full point.
Full point. And Marilyn Manson actually made a cover of this song, believe it or not.
That guy's a whack job. He's in a little bit of trouble right now.
Oh, he's being canceled, yes.
Yeah. I don't think it's canceled.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of rapey.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's his thing.
Yeah.
I have to tell you this story. One time I was I had a Marilyn Manson show in the front row, and this girl and her boyfriend decided that they were going to stand right next to us, next to my assigned freaking seat.
Uh-huh.
Because she's like, well, I have to see him later, so I'm just going to come up here. And I'm like, what the hell? And then, like, almost through the end of the show, Marilyn Manson, somebody threw a water bottle at him, and he jumped on my seat and then ran down the row and yelled at somebody, pointed at them. Security grabbed that person, dragged them away, and then he left.
That was the end of the show?
Yeah, that was it. He left.
Oh, my God.
What a good show.
Metropolis got it with Suicide is Painless.
Nice.
Half point.
Oh, wait, he gets a full point.
Full point.
Nice. All right. Good job. Next track.
Everything starts like a knock at the door. You don't know what it is, but you know who it's for.
Is that Kim Carnes?
It is. It is her. She did a show's intro. The show did not last very long due to a very tragic.
Grinwing gets half point for CBS.
Oh, damn it, Grinwing.
Was this the one where the woman was stalked and killed?
Yes, it's so sad.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. Who got that?
Yeah, but that song is really good. Kim Carnes is awesome, obviously.
Half point. Full point.
Okay.
And
there we go,
Metropolis. My Sister Sam.
Nice.
It's a real. We got a real nail biter here. We got Jabaruga in the front with 4 points. We got Grinwing and Metropolis second place with 2 points each, and Joe Drosen and Mr. Peabody in third place with a half point each.
All right, let's do this. 2 left.
Well, this is it. This is it.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I have to say, out of all these shows, I watched.
Joe Drosen gets CBS.
Nice. Oh, I forgot they made a TV show out of this last one.
And Metropolis gets 1 day at a time for 2.5 points, taking second place.
All right.
Half point.
For both those guys. Wow. All right. Here we go. Here's one for all the moolah. 2 points. We're going to go on this one. 1 point for the network. And 1 point because we can.
Daddy thought I was fine the way I was. Mother thought I just needed a husband. I decided I needed a change.
Wow.
Yep. One of those shows where they have to have like a little intro speech at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only one I could find on this network that did that.
Porno. Drug
no,
PSA.
that is negative. I'll give everybody a hint. Goldie Hawn was on the movie version of this.
Yeah.
Debbie Does Dallas. Blossom.
No.
We're getting some good guesses here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're...
There's a, We should have warned Ben. This is not really a family show.
Yes, Ben. We're sort of
Things took a hard left there, and I'm just gonna roll with it. I mean,
Jabaruga with
Got it.
Private Benjamin for 5 points.
For 5 points.
Full point.
5 point total. Doesn't matter what anybody else gets because
He killed them. He killed everybody.
He killed everybody. He wins.
But Metropolis second place. I like that.
All right. So who won it exactly?
Jabaruga with 5 points. Metropolis in second place with 2.5 points. Because I didn't see anybody actually guess the network. Grinwing in third place with CBS. I was not counting with Joe Drosen and Mr. Peabody, and Grinwing at the top, guessing before we even got to the next section. So.
Well, that's it for What's in the Juke.
Thanks for playing, everybody.
It's always nice to have people on the show for that bit.
Yeah.
So Ben's been very patient. Yeah.
Thanks for going through all of our segments, Ben.
Well, we got one more segment.
We only have 10 more segments.
Wait a minute.
I was ashamed to have only known like a couple of those. I'm like, come on, TV. Like, come on, TV brain. This is, I mean, Private Benjamin, actually, that was one. It was like the first time I really remember. I mean, I think Goldie Hawn, and that's Goldie Hawn, right?
The film was, yeah.
She was in the movie, but the TV show, they got a replacement. But everybody else in the movie actually was in the TV show.
Yeah. Who?
Okay. And I was like, wow. I think I like women, you know?
Yeah.
Especially if they wear camo.
Yeah, I think Eileen Brennan, was that the person that was her corporal, and Hal Williams, also another pretty famous.
Yeah, the title role is acted by Lorna Patterson. Is that right?
Yep. Other famous people that were in the movie: Albert Brooks, Craig T. Nelson, Armand Asante was in the movie, but not in the TV show.
Yeah, I saw a couple episodes of the TV series, but I didn't stick with it. I wasn't.
Yeah, it was all right. I was just like, nah.
Yeah.
There was other stuff like, and by the way, this concludes our trifecta. Our first episode this season was NBC, second episode was ABC, and then third, and it's just in third, the CBS network.
ABC, it's CBS, yes.
CBS, yes. We will not be doing a PBS version of
we're
episode.
thankful, for CBS because now they own all Star Trek.
We should do a BBC version.
Oh, okay, done.
That would be funny. Blackadder. Oh, I'm going to shut up because you're probably going to pick all the ones I want to pick anyway. So.
Okay. Do we have any voicemails?
Let's check the voicemail.
Yeah.
All right. Yep, we do. Here we go.
Thank you for calling 612-548-GAME. This is RcadeRadio. Please leave your message after the tone.
Hey everybody, it's your buddy, Bob Zarsadet, control panel expert and technician. Hey, I just want to let you guys know that I totally gave up trying to write my arcade game with my Super Bob. Bro, don't hate me for this. You aren't that good either. Hey, shut up a minute, okay, Super Bob? I'm talking here. Fine, bro. Hey, RcadeRadio, isn't it cute how Super Bob has always called me bro now? Anyway, yeah, I've moved on to better things now, and things are gonna help me out in the future. Working on that. Calculating lottery numbers in 5, 4. Hey, yo, Super Bob, what did I tell you? No countdowns. Sorry, my bad, bro. Man, kids these days, right? Yeah, sorry, this is such a short voicemail, but I've got a lot of things to do out in the world. Calculating location of loose women in 5, 4. Dang it, Super Bob! I just chastised you a second ago. What the heck? Sorry, my bad, bro. Yeah, you better be sorry. I can flick that on-off switch real fast whenever I feel like it. Please don't do that, bro. I like calculating things for you. Okay. Well, where was I? Oh, yeah, okay. So I'm going to let you Arcade Radio guys go now. Just rest assured that I will be thinking of you and wishing you the best this holiday season. Calculating location of Adam's storage unit in 5, 4. Hey, okay, hey, now that's a lot of straw, okay? Zarsadek out. Now, come here, you. No, wait, bro. Hold up.
Oh man.
Do you have a storage unit, Adam?
I do.
Oh.
Huh. I mean, who doesn't these days, really? You know, I figure once they foreclose on my mortgage, I will live in that storage unit.
Nice.
I will become the deliverator.
Yeah, I paid for a storage unit with an office for 2 years, and I have not gotten the office ready to be an office. So it's awesome.
You have a storage unit with an office.
Yes, it's pretty cool. I mean, things are really cheap in Conroe. It is amazing.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
Well, so one of the things they do out here, well, the business partners for Ice Cold Beer, they do garage condos.
Oh, I would love.
It's not a bad option if you have the right amount of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. I need like 4 garage condos. Okay, let's get on to the next section of the show, which is our
Let's
guest.
do that interview.
All right. Oh, this is what we've been waiting for. Oh yeah. Oh yes, and without further ado, let's talk to our very special guest, Mr. Ben Grainger.
Ben, I have a question. Is Gerald Ford a nice guy?
You can throw me that one right out of the gate, huh?
Wait. That's not for you. Hold on. Let me scratch that.
Wrong week.
That was.
I mean, I'm old, but I'm not that old. So I actually feel young now.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome that did not get changed.
Well, Ben, let us first ask you to introduce yourself and say a few things about what it is you do in the pinball hobby.
Yeah, so I'm Ben Grainger. I am a hobby operator, you would call it. I do pinball things full time now, but as far as location operation, I'm more or less just pinball. I do some arcades and some other pieces, skill cranes and stuff. But I guess when you think of an operator, operator capital O, it's usually 50, 100, 150 locations. I'm kind of more 10 or less, and like primarily pinball, which was the passion from the start. So. And the most labor intensive. So, not typically what, operators, I guess, would, if they were to choose the equipment they route, probably not what they would be routing. It's safe to say. So, and then, I guess business wise, then I during COVID, kind of was looking, for ways to pivot that operation, because obviously all locations were shut down. Minnesota in particular was pretty brutal. Things were closed for a really long time, whereas Wisconsin kind of opened back up. The Supreme Court ruling said, yeah, you can't just shut everybody down. So right. I was on the way to Madison to pick up actually a Nitro ground shaker, and I saw Eau Claire Games and Arcade ad for pinballs for sale, and I kind of feel like I know who people are in the scene and in the industry a little bit, at least locally, and I'd never heard of it. So I was kind of like, well, who are these guys, and I met the owner over there, and saw that kind of had the same train of thought of like, yeah, this we're getting crushed business wise, like operating an arcade, we're not, people are not comfortable going out, so they're like had a small amount of electromechanicals they put up for sale, and I was kind of like, well, who's your tech? I mean, how do you run this? He's like, well, we don't really have a tech, we just try to get working games. And I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna last too long. I mean, that's so we got talking, and it was sort of like, well, we're on the same page here. Let's let's sell some of our equipment, and that sort of sparked this other business, which we've gone through a couple of iterations of name. We're currently operating as under the Eau Claire Games and Arcade Facebook page is sort of been our primary where we've been targeting our audience from, but we're working on either Battle Theory is kind of the name we've landed on. Their website is under construction, so that will ultimately be what it's called, and it's sort of a larger kind of umbrella name. It doesn't really tie in, I guess, with pinball or arcade specifically, but it's the the idea of it's all a competition, right? And whether it's arcades, pinball, whatever, it is a competition, either against the machine or against another player. So, and we also kind of wanted to maybe expand to other sports, whatever, eventually merchandise, stuff like that. So it was like, we narrow in, didn't want to get too focused on, pinball or arcade equipment in the title. So anyway, that's the other thing. And now, more recently, Brian and Paul brought me on as it's Starcade, which, I'm super excited for that opportunity. And I think, given their experience, my experience, I think we're going to do cool things over there too. So, and I've been wanting to do an arcade myself, pinball arcade, but other things, time constraints, and you start to realize what really goes into it. And it's like, let's just put one foot in front of the other right now and go from there. So I thought that was a really cool opportunity for something intermediate. I could just say, hey, let me get some experience, actually seeing what, how this runs and what this actually takes day to day. So I mean, that's what's on my plate. As far as history, I mean, I got into all this through competitive pinball. So I mean, about 2012 was in a pretty dark place and kind of turned my life around. And one of the things that I found, on the bright side of things, was tournament pinball. And I'd always probably mid 90s is when I got into pinball. St. Paul Student Center had, a dozen games or so. And that was actually where I fell in love with 720, the arcade game too. So they had maybe, 20 to 25 arcades and maybe 12 pinballs, which now it's I've been in there and it's depressing. There's no games. But that was the place in 92, 93 that really cut my teeth on those machines. And it was your classes, they had Doctor Who, they had Addams Family, they had 8-Ball Deluxe, Terminator 2, Fire. I mean, so they had, some of these, what ended up being great classic machines. And it was probably at least a decade later before I started, finding games again. Because as you know, I mean, late 90s, things really, just were crushed and pinball was all but dead. I mean, Stern was cranking out stuff, but you look at those early 2000s titles and you can tell, it was like they were in a bad state, and the production numbers super low on those. It's kind of amazing that they stayed in business, to be honest with you. Yeah. But yeah, we could do a whole nother episode on that.
Well, we had, interestingly enough, we had George Gomez, Chief Creative Officer, on last episode.
Yep.
And one of the things he said is that the home market really has helped them through those low periods. And they've grown that over the last 20, 30 years or so. And so when COVID hit, they had the similar problem where no one's operating.
Right.
No games are selling. Nobody's coming to play pinball. So that's when the home users really helped Stern out again.
Right.
So
and what's weird is that that I hear the term home use only kind of get thrown around in the collector market, and people it's real hard to prove that unless you have kind of original sales receipts. It's just really. It's one of those terms that I'm always skeptical when I hear it, especially for games in the 80s and 90s, because there wasn't a lot of that until, Stern. I don't think I think it was a lot more protected as far as, operators and distributors were selling to operators. So unless you knew somebody, and I could be dead wrong about this, but I don't think there was a ton of machines that were going into the public's hands just because, it was a relationship between the operator and the distributor. So that home use thing is sort of more, coming out of the other end of like, okay, it was almost dead, but now, the whole market's pivoted. The internet exists. You can kind of buy equipment wherever. And there's this whole, the secondary market's massive. Anyone can get anything they want. And now you have all these collectors where, those mid 2000 years where Indiana Joneses were $1,500 or, Star Trek Next Gen, $1,200. And like, I've heard stories. So yeah, we used to go to South Dakota, pick up, trailer loads of Addams Families for like $800, $1,000. Yeah, it's just, and then, and you think, if everyone's, I wish I'd hold on to a few of those. It's like, right, but you can't. This is a 20-year process, right, where we finally come out on the other side, and like, where prices are ridiculous, but on the upside is there's an actual community, and so I'd take that trade off, any day of the week, honestly.
Yeah.
I will tell you, in 2010 when we started Paradise, really just 2009, several people told us this is a dumb idea. We're at the back end of this. You're never going to make any money off this. And that's so it wasn't just the game market that was low back then. People didn't have a lot of faith that it would ever return. So it's interesting. So I think, people saying I should have held it. Nobody knew.
Right.
Nobody knew.
Well, you hear stories of, operators saying, yeah, we used to take trailer loads of those to the dump. And it's always like, oh, how stupid can you be? But, you got to think at the time, okay, so if a Pac-Man is selling for $150 or $250 tops, in 1990 something dollars, and it costs you $150 to have a tech go through it, so when it dies on location and you bring it back to the warehouse, there's no reason you can't justify the cost of having somebody bring it back to life to sell it to a home market. And especially when in the back of your mind, when this thing breaks, they're calling us again. And it's like, we didn't make any money, so it was way easier. Hey, this game made $5,000. It cost us, $1,300. It's done. It's over with. And nobody, you couldn't think too hard about, well, hey, is this going to become some sort of cult classic, or is this something that later on is going to be coveted to that point? Obviously, like, hindsight's 20/20, but I understand it from both sides. It does still hurt when you hear that, but now I look at the way the equipment is manufactured today, and I think, I don't know that we're going to see that in 20 more years. To me, things seem to be being built a different way, where that whole right to repair we were talking about, the surface mount stuff, and it to me, it doesn't seem like a lot of it's built to last that long. But on the flip side, the electromechanicals were really meant to run, like a year or two tops. And, this is commonly discussed. Well, did Addams Family, kill the industry because of how popular it was and how much money it made? And so, operators aren't dumping this game and getting the next thing. But it's like, that's kind of short-sighted. And I wasn't operating then, so I don't know. But, I wouldn't think that, the longevity of a specific machine, if anything, that's going to help your bottom line. And,
yeah,
that makes sense.
But, so back to, so tournament pinball is what really got me, into the operating world. And I 2012 was playing in just the local tournaments, started, competing in the monthly event at Mortimer's.
And we've mentioned Mortimer's on the show before. The fellows that own Mortimer's own Tilt. Is that right?
So Tilt is, so John Galvin of D&G Amusements was the operator, and before that, his dad Dan was and John kind of took over the business. And So that was right around when I started going there. Is I think Dan was kind of just getting out of it. John was cutting his teeth.
Okay.
And then Jasha, who was one of the bartender at Mortimer's for decades, was him and another partner were going to be buying Mortimer's and also constructing the building that Tilt is in.
Yeah.
And that building, it was planned, well, hey, this first floor retail space, this will be where we'll do this pinball bar. And no one was really sure how well it was going to work. I mean, and knowing how badly the community wanted more pinball, I thought it was going to be gangbusters, and sure enough, I mean, it's the pinball spot in the cities. And John, gets all limited editions and premiums, and just has a really nice collection, and it is a fun place to go. But he was also supportive of the tournament community early on, where he give pizza and sodas. I mean, he just and doubled the prize pool in the early days. Like if it's $100 and $5 a head, he'd make it $200. I mean, just supportive in a way that I mean, Blaine Brook did the same thing, and it it really helped bring people in early on. As people started to get really, really good, the problem, and as I saw it, was that you had half of your tournament field was extremely good. Like on a national scale, top 200 players out of there's roughly 80 to 100,000 people in the IFPA, which is the governing body of tournament pinball. So with that many good players in the city, how do you bring new people in, right? So pretty early on, my focus was, let's grow this and make this cool thing. Like, I want more people to have this fun I'm having. But then you show up to an event and get spanked by these, like, these pros. And it's like, pro in quotation, because I don't know that there's anybody that could make a full-time thing out of tournament pinball.
Right.
It could get there someday, but people who are really good. And so, it's tough because you have people come in, they get worked, and why would they want to come back and do that again? And so, like, you'd see people kind of show up and maybe go to a couple events and then they'd be gone. And it's like, and it feels bad, right? You go somewhere, you think you're good at something, you get your ass handed to you, and then you're like, yeah, I'm not good at this. I suck. I'm going to go home and screw this anyway.
That's the Steve Sanders, Billy Mitchell story right there, right? Sanders could barely score 300,000 on Donkey Kong, and in walks good old Billy Mitchell and scores, darn near $1 million and squashes him in a second.
Well, and it's hard to keep in perspective that you're playing against the best in the world, and that's something. And you don't, you would never say that, like, tell somebody, oh yeah, by the way, this group of people is the best in the world. We're among those elite players, but it's like, that's the reality. And so what's the good gateway? I mean, we pounded tons of tournaments for years, and would just be like doing weeklies and doing leagues and trying to bring people in with leagues. And what really, I think, broke through is in the last few years. So Tilt's Recreational League was a huge gateway, because that was like non-IFPA. You could be as sucky as you wanted and play every Tuesday, but you were playing on the same night as the competitive league. So you were there, and everyone is in the same room, but you're not competing for for the points, so to speak.
That's actually a great opportunity for somebody who's not as good as an IFPA player to pick up a few tricks and tips, because you could go and have fun, compete against your friends, and then watch a couple of pros just mow people down.
Right. And and then eventually you move over to the other side, right? Eventually you're like, hey, I'm doing pretty good at this casual thing. I'm gonna try my hand at the competitive side. But the other major thing was, so there's a Monday night Pinball Twin Cities. It's a casual league. It's a traveling league, and basically any bar that has more than maybe 2 machines can have a team. And so you'll host a team one night. You'll host another team. So say maybe Up Down is playing Tilt at Up Down, right? So the Tilt team will show up there, and they play this. This is totally non-sanctioned form. It's the kind of format the IFPA would be like, no way, you can't. That would not be worth any any ranking points because it's not, straight competitive pinball. It's different formats, but it's more fun. So, you'd have those and all these different bars have teams. And so now there's, 12 plus teams, all these different pinball locations, and, they all get to experience the other locations throughout the season. And I think that has been incredibly instrumental in growing this, this other competitive side, because again, people kind of, osmosis, they kind of make their way over, they start doing tournaments. I mean, it's only a matter of time before you're like, hey, I feel comfortable around this now. And so it's been great to see, because that was really, that was really what I wanted to do with throwing tournaments. Is I just thought, if we had twice this, I mean, I saw big scenes in Wisconsin. I mean, we were traveling over to Wisconsin and watching, how supportive and positive that community was, how many people were showing up, and they didn't care about, how good anyone else was. And so it was like, how do we foster that environment here? And it turns out like, dial back the competition and
nice.
And you'll get people in. Yeah.
Mark, were you going to ask a question? Because it looked like you were going to ask a question.
So your detail is very, man. I'm really it's bizarre that there's teams that come into just regular locations and play unsanctioned. I love that. I'm curious, like when you first started getting into it in the 90s, was there ever any time that you stopped playing pinball? I mean, like for any period of time? I'm just curious. Or have you just been straight through the whole time?
I mean, I did stop from, mid 90s to probably mid 2000s. And I mean, Mortimer's has always had some machines. So that's kind of when it was like mid 2000s when I found those games and was like, oh, I like this. I remember this, and games like, 24 were coming out. Lord of the Rings, I think NASCAR, Ripley's was a little bit before that. But, there CSI, I mean, there was a bunch of actually good titles like that are now kind of rare and hard to get because their production, again, was so low. Yeah. But they had those, and I started going and hitting 2-for-1s and playing, games at Mort's. And then it was probably another, 3 or 4 year break before getting into it again in 2012 and then discovering the competitive side, which really didn't exist. I mean, there was tournaments. So Lloyd's at SS Billiards, I mean, he's had tournaments, and there's been stuff going back, decades, but nothing consistent and nothing to the level it is now, where there's pretty much something every night of the week. If you want to, get out and play something that's, competitive, there's something every day, if not a league, a tournament.
What's the pinball place that's in a coffee shop in Minneapolis?
Cafetto. So that's one of my locations. It's down in the basement.
I love that place.
It's pretty cool, and it's sort of like on that Hard Times vibe where I think a lot of people are kind of intimidated just by the perception of maybe it's there's some low lifes in there, but it's really not like that. And a really good friend of mine, Brent, is the owner. And so that was actually my first location. And Brent is a pinball enthusiast. He's had machines there for probably 2 decades. I know John Ross has done some stuff. I think Lloyd, or maybe he had his games at Lloyd's, but I mean, he's been around for a long time. And so when the opportunity arose to hey, you want to put games here, I jumped at it because.
So was that your Jurassic Park there then, a couple years back?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Yeah. So I went there during COVID, with my girlfriend, and we played, and it's kind of a neat place because you walk in, and if you don't know that they have pinball, it just looks like a normal coffee shop upstairs with like one cocktail arcade machine. And then you go down the stairs and there's you've packed 15 pinball machines in there, 20 pinball machines in there, so.
Yeah. At one point it was 18 pins and a couple arcades. And we had, my friend Luke had been laying out in CAD. You know, how he was like trying to figure out how to get another game in.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It was like, if we turn them all diagonally, like you can, you know, when you see game rooms like that where the pins are, you know, because you realize, oh, actually you cheat out the heads, you know, you get more, you can fit more side to side. And I'm like, we're not doing the diagonal thing. Like I'm drawing the line there, but no, we've, you know, we want, again, that was the place. It was initially like, we're going to do tournaments. We're going to make this, you know, try to make this like a super great, you know, and you know, tournament spot and just a great spot to play. And
okay, so that's called Cafetos. If you don't know it, you should check it out, Minneapolis. Do you know the address? Or
I put a link in the chat.
Okay, cool.
It's like 708 West 22nd.
Yeah, awesome.
Right across from the Speedway, 22nd and Lindale, kitty corner from the Wedge.
Oh yeah,
I have to check that out. What one game that I feel, you know, is always, people are always like, that game saved pinball. Roller Coaster Tycoon. What is your opinion?
I love that game. I think it's highly underrated. It was one of those ones everyone's like, oh, Roller Coaster Tycoon. It's a Pat Lawler game.
Yeah.
I think it's a great game. And I think, you know, again, with those early 2000 Sterns, the problem too is the sound was really bad on them. That was one issue. So like there was first the ones that had tons of clips. Lord of the Rings is notorious too. I mean, it's really bad, like how grainy that sound is. And like, you know, so products like, you know, Pin Sound, where, you know, they're expensive, but it's literally repackaged, and it's like, you really need it on those games. But no, the shots are super fun. Like the ramps are awesome. I think Roller Coaster Tycoon is one of those ones that's still legit. You can still find them for, you know, not $7,000.
Yeah.
And no, it's the code. I mean, and again, so those early games, you know, that they didn't have USB updating, and that's probably one of the best advancements that's happened is the ability to update it not by swapping ROMs and by just a USB stick. So, you know, once they had to finish it, right? They had to finish the game before they released it, which, you know, now those days are gone, and we've gone horribly in the opposite direction of we're just gonna drop the game on you with
a bunch of bugs,
with nothing in there, and work on it as we go here. And you know, it's double-edged sword, right? Because they get it out, they get better feedback, right? But the problem is people hate it before it's finished, and that's really an issue, right? Is where, and I've seen this happen countless times, where a game is like, everyone thinks it's a pile, and you know, within a few years the code's done, and you're like, oh, this is awesome now. And it's like, yeah, nobody cares. Once they do figure it out, then it's like, oh, then the price goes parabolic, and you have this like mad scramble to get one again. And there's somewhat of a herd mentality with that too. I mean, and it's interesting to see what titles do, because it's like at one point Ghostbusters was like you could get them cheap, and it's like nuts because it's such a good game. It's a brutal game, but it's such a good machine. And now it's like, yeah, you're looking at $9,000 to $10,000 for a pro.
Oh my god!
I mean, and like, yeah, LEs are over $20,000. I mean, it's just like.
What about a Batman in 1966? What do those go for now?
Which one?
Batman 66.
What is it?
Which
one? Batman 66?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because they didn't make that many.
I had an offer to get a Catwoman, which is I think a premium that's limited to like 100 for $10,500, and I'm still chewing on that. So to put in perspective, I think some of them, depending, you know, how limited, it's going to be in that 15 to 20 range. Elvira's have really gone. That's one that's, you know, gotten stupid. And those are like, depending on how limited, going north of $20,000 too.
That's crazy.
And what's interesting about pinball is I think I've sort of watched, since I'm involved in somewhat in the arcade and the pinball sales markets, I've watched how this has not followed into arcades at all, and that's been interesting because I don't know if it's the collector base is just like F that, we're not going to this place where things get stupid, or if it's that, you know, hey, I could scratch build one of these for less. I mean, I kind of wonder if that isn't the barrier, is that it's like, if I can find a board set and whatever, I could literally make one for cheaper. You know, this game cannot reach that $10,000 to $20,000 mark. Whereas pins, you have so many unique components in it that it can get that high because the scratch build is not possible. I mean,
sure. Yeah. That's a good. I don't know, Brian. What do you think?
Well, I think it really depends on the arcade game. So you look at something like Aztrack, and those are going for insane amounts of money because you can't get a 6400 monitor. I mean, there's no way to get one, and there's nothing else it plays on. I mean, you can play it on a Go8, but even Go8s are hard to find, and those are really hard to keep running. So I think that you're right. I think there is a lot of, I think it depends a lot on what you can acquire. I think one of the things that we're seeing with the pinballs in particular is you have these themes that are licensed, so they cannot produce more of them, right? So like Ghostbusters, chances are Stern's never going to do Ghostbusters again. So there's a limited number on the market. And when you go play that, and you have this market now where you still have these pins out on location, so people are going to play them. They go, oh, I really like this, I want to find one. And that's driving the price up as well. It's dragging the bottom pins up. I mean, it's crazy to me. Like, you can't get into a decent pin for it's just gone crazy. I mean, Whirlwind, I bought a Whirlwind for $600.
Right.
I bought my pin bot for $700. You know, and this was 10 years ago.
Mark,
you can't touch those for under $2,000 to $3,000 now.
Yeah, and Mark, NBA Jam locally, $4,500 now.
Yeah. Oh my God, I got one for $500, and I traded one for a Jurassic Park. I paid $2,300 at Pinball Warehouse in Minnesota.
OG Jurassic Park, not the
OG.
Stern.
Yeah, OG Jurassic Park.
Okay.
And at the time, that was probably high because, you know, the warehouse was in, you know, that's sort of the similar category as us, where it's high retail. I mean, you're paying for overhead, you're paying for somebody to go through it. I mean, it's.
You paid for what's his name? I forget his name, but yeah, he spent that money and lived. Big Al lived off that money.
So I have a question for you. I'm gonna tell you mine, and I'm gonna ask you a question. So the game that I bought, that I was like, this game is awesome, and I had to pick, like, I had to get rid of it. The pin that I bought, and I'm like, this game is a lot deeper than I thought it was, and at the time I enjoyed it, but it wasn't worth crap. Was the original WWF, which it's a fun game. And at the time they were going for like $800-900, and I'm like, this game is way better than an $800-900 game. But I had to pick like a limited number of games to keep. Sold that. It was a home use only. It was brand new. The power supply had gone down after like 100 plays, and I gave it away. I mean, I sold it for like $1,000 and thought I made out with it. And now they're going for insane amounts of money. Is there a game you have that you sold, and at the time you're like, yes, I got some money for it, but now you're like, God.
You know, I'm bad at selling games. I'm pretty good at buying them. So it's like,
I like that.
But one I regret. So Johnny Mnemonic is one that I let go for, I think, like $2,800, which, you know, it wasn't at the time. That was not giving it away. That was like, this is, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. But ever since, I haven't found like a nice Johnny, and it was a game that I thought, that's a George Gomez game. I thought this is super cool. You know, I love the glove. You know, and it's got a cool story behind too. I heard that the Stern crew and Gomez and company went to the premiere. I mean, this could be complete BS, but like it's so awesome because if you watch Johnny Mnemonic the movie, that they went to the premiere and they were like, oh my God, what have we done here? Like this is a disaster. Like this is not going to sell at all, because they were like, built this cool game, and I'm sure they had enough of the IP. Yeah. Like maybe the script and whatever else. Like, yeah. I mean, they had an idea of what it was going to be like, but the movie wasn't done yet. So like when they saw it, we're like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like what, you know, like there's a heroin addicted dolphin. Like what am I watching here? You know?
I know there's dog people in this movie. No.
Yeah. And it was like, you know, it was like 180 gigabytes was this massive amount of data.
Right. Oh my God. I could
unthinkable. Yeah.
I could stick that in a tooth right now. What is it?
So so this is interesting because we're talking about properties that suck, but the game is really good, right?
The game's awesome,
so
right?
Another one I have a question about then too. I'd love to hear your opinion on. I'm a big fan of Lost in Space. A terrible movie, and I think the pin is very fun.
I really liked
ROBOT. Yeah.
That sucker has has a multi.
You almost never see him too.
Yeah. I played one at Blaine Brook about 6-7 years ago. And and it has a wicked multi-ball with like 7 balls that come out.
Yeah.
And I was just like crazy.
That's a great one. God, what other one did I? So, I mean, I've sold some of the early Stearns, like Roller Coaster Tycoon, or not Roller Coaster Tycoon. That's what you were saying. What's the High Roller Casino? So I had one of those. I don't know if you guys are familiar with High Roller Casino, but it's got like 4 unique multi-balls in it.
Oh, cool.
And it was like the last DMD game to be under $2,000 still. I think I paid like $1,800 at MGC, probably in like 2014. And somebody even said to me, dude, it's a DMD under $2,000. Like it's a great deal. I mean, and they haven't gone stupid in pricing, but I haven't seen many for sale.
Mm-hmm.
So ones like that where I'm like, yeah, someday you're gonna be like, I had one once, I don't anymore. I sold it. No, but it's weird because when you get in the business, and I'm sure Brian, I mean, you probably had this experience, is like, you start doing it as a business, like it takes for me at least, it took some of the fun out of, just the really casual type of play where I used to love playing on location. It's like when you're working on pins all the time, I kind of don't really want to see them after that. It's almost like it's like how a chef, and you're like, yeah, you must have so much great food in your fridge at home, and it's like, yeah, I have a jar of mustard and like 3 pickles in my fridge and like old chicken wings. Like a chef is not like doing that for 12 hours and going home. It's like the same kind of thing. Is like I kind of don't want to see it. Again, though, tournaments is where it still lives. I mean, for me, it's like, all right, now if I'm playing against somebody for money, okay, like now it's still fun. So,
yeah.
But I wouldn't trade it. I mean, honestly, I knew that that's the risk of making your hobby your job. Is you do run the risk of like burning out a little bit on it. But I've learned a ton about repair. Learned a ton about new machines, old machines, and that's what it's all about. I mean. And to be honest, I've been trying to get into doing things full time for, a few years. Starting Can Wonderland was actually the first place that we ran games for about 6 months, and that was my first experience operating. And it was a lot. I mean, it was like one of those places where another operator who was there kind of told me, you'll never see money like this again, because it was just so intense the way people came in for mini golf, but they'd hit those pinballs because it was this captive audience of like hundreds of people coming in droves. They had a 2-hour wait to get on the golf course, and it was like this trapped like captive audience who was like, yeah, we have kids to like entertain here. And so it was doing $4,000 plus a week, and it was like, yeah, he told me flat out, you're never going to see like a location this good. And that was true. I mean, that was really true. But like ever since then, I kind of was looking for, the next. I said, I think I want to do this. I mean, I think this is going to be what I want to do. And it goes hand in hand with, I mean, it's like allowed me to then have tournaments and host tournaments and teams at my locations where I can say, let me support you in whatever you want to do. Like now we have a women's ranking system as well as just an open division ranking. And that's just happened this year. So it's like, yeah, and sometimes there's a Bells and Chimes chapter, which is like, women's organized league kind of thing. And they asked, hey, can we do a night at Cafeto? Absolutely. Let me put some games on free play. I mean, just it allows me to kind of foster, the tournament and competitive scene, in ways that I wouldn't normally be able to. Where I could host things at places and did for many years, but to be able to actually, help financially has been awesome. And that's kind of why, I got into it, to be honest, is, to grow it on both sides, really.
That's cool. So, you mentioned operating, and you've mentioned that you've had a couple of pins. Are all of your pins en route, or do you have a private collection?
I've got some that are not en route, but I don't have a private collection at home. I've got games that I think in my mind is like if and when you do set up like some cool game room, which I started to here, this house. I mean, I don't own the house, so it's one of those things where, like, when you buy a house, you can start thinking about that. And there's things like my Barracora, right? Like, I don't think I'll route it. It has a restored play field. I'm going to make it super nice, and that's one that I'm not going to put out. I have a Solar Fire that's like a 1980 Williams game, System 6, I believe, and it's like I'm not going to route that. That's going to be restored again, and that will be and to be honest, I don't know how much people will appreciate that. What I've learned over time is like, yeah, people generally want new Sterns, they want the classics like Attack from Mars, Monster Bash. I mean, the stuff that CGC is making, they know, like, this is the games people are demanding. Medieval Madness. So that's really what I see is that, somewhere like Perfetto, if you have 15 games, sure, you can pepper in like 6, 7, classic machines and they'll get played. But if you have, 3, 4 machines, you probably want to stick to, modern stuff that's going to get played. True. And really that most people, those as Buck Rogers, I mean, like, if you're paying for games of that, it's just like 50 cents or more, like your ball times are short. I mean, it's not like you said with the ball save, they usually don't have them. So you got games that are lasting like 45 seconds, and you're like, yeah, I don't know how much I want to sign up for that punishment over and over. Yeah. I'm going to speak with my wallet here and opt to not play this anymore, sir. So
I think the thing that really it's interesting because for me, I play more pinball out on location now than I used to, because having the pinball at home, I'm more confident to go play it. Like, I feel like I can put a couple quarters into something, and whereas before I'd put a couple quarters in to be done, now I'll pull out $5 or something because I'll get some time out of it, and I feel like I'm not just like donating my money. Just put the money on the top of the machine for someone else to play, But I think it's a lot of fun. You made the point of like going home and stuff. It's funny because for me, with us selling so many parts, I don't mind going home and playing. I don't want to go home and fix them. Right. And so when they break, it's like, oh gosh, here we go. Can I get someone else to fix these?
Right.
Yeah, like repair is the killer of the love of a hobby.
Well, that's funny too, because like Christine always tells me when I'm working on a game, and I come up and I like that. She's like, well, how's it going? I'm like, well, I freaking broke something else now, and I hate this. And I'm never gonna work on arcade games or pinball again. I'm tired of it. She's like, yeah, whatever, you love it. And she's right. I eventually have to go back to, you were talking about like finding a ground problem, right? Or a switch problem, stuck switch problem. And like on a System 1, that's a common problem. Like all of a sudden, if a switch is shorted or stopped or closed, then nothing works right. All of a sudden, when you start hitting the flippers, you're scoring 10 points every time you press the flipper button, you know? And so then you have to backtrack. Like, I just replaced all the rubbers. I just put new, flippers on. And so what did I touch?
Right.
So,
well, and then, the diagnostics, I mean, and this is the thing where your decades of experience come in really handy, because it's like, okay, there were no diagnostics. I mean, you had a switch menu where if you pressed a switch, it would flash 42, and you look up in the menu, okay, what's 42? That's my left out lane. But in a modern game, obviously it'll show you that there's a ground short row 1, right? Like it'll light up on the matrix, and so that's a lot more effective in that troubleshooting. Well, if you've got one that'll only show you one closure at a time, well, how am I supposed to know, where in the matrix there's a problem? Because I mean, the way the current is flowing in there, it's like a rectangle that it could, any one of these switches could be the issue. So your troubleshooting process like suddenly becomes like really labor intensive, or you just start shotgunning diodes and whatever. But I mean, I don't hate it, but when you have to do it is when it starts becoming, that's where, for me, where I start to feel pressure, my chest gets tight, because I'm like, now I'm expected, like somebody is waiting on this machine, and or I'm getting paid by somebody to fix it. And so like I can't charge them for the head scratching time. But at the same time, like it has to get done. And so it's like, I can let my own game sit broken in my basement. If I can't figure it out, I can get pissed and come back to it, a day later, a week later. When you start to lose those options is where you get a lot of pressure. But honestly, I mean, I love, pushing through some of those challenges and spending 10 hours to figure out something simple like, an LED or an LED is polarized. Like, like this has a direction it has to go in. Like, it's not just a bulb. Like, it's not like a socketed, like, LED. I mean, when I say LED, like an opto bulb, like an opto is polarized. Like, it has an emitter and it's like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, that was a tough 8-hour lesson, but like, I felt like amazing having learned that. And then the next time, it was like, pay attention to the polarity of the bulb as you insert it, but just, like pushing through, the issues and learning. And that's kind of the only way to do it. I mean, somebody can tell you all day, but I think there's hands-on is the only way. And obviously working side by side with people who know more than you do, but, I see why it's like 30, 40-year veterans. I still see some of those guys posting on Pinside, looking for answers. They'll run into new stuff they've never seen. Yeah. Because they're just incredibly complicated machines, especially at the board level. I mean, so you get, I allow myself that space to be like, hey, you're not good enough this is beyond you. And that's, kind of knowing where you're at and like recognizing that early is sort of key for me too. Cause it's like, if I can say, hey, I can't figure this out, call the guy who can, and then life is easier.
And Ben says that, but he's being very modest. So we just brought Ben on to help out with some of the management up at Starcade. We had 3 pins in the back, and none of them were incredibly complicated problems, but they're all out running on the floor now. And so, one night up there, and he kind of dug into them, pushed through them, while moving games around, while managing several people walking around in circles, trying to move games around, but walking around and talking quite a bit. And it was, he really did a nice job of getting that done. So, and you talk about people being 30, 40-year veterans, like you're getting to be one of those people who has the experience to look at stuff and know how to diagnose, work through things. Yeah. And it was interesting watching you troubleshoot that, because people get it or they don't. I mean, you watch people repair machines sometimes. They kind of walk up to it and they're like, okay, maybe it's the power supply. It's like, no. You can actually like have some logic here. And you very quickly zeroed in on a number of different things. So give yourself a lot of credit there.
Well, and go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and then that's kind of, standing on the shoulders of giants. I mean, I can say that the things I've really been able to take away from other people, and there's some great resources online. I don't really even go on Pinside too much because it takes too long to get a response. But PinWiki, I mean, there's some awesome resources that experienced techs have been compiling, and one of the things early on that that really stood out to me was it's basically Occam's razor is how I always think about it. It's like the simplest explanation is usually the right one. And your instinct is to dynamite boards open, to start, desoldering components and must be this, this chip that controls this thing. And it's like, did you check the fuses? Did you check is there a broken wire, right? I mean, really, the really basic things. And more often than not, it's like, yeah, it's staring you right in the face. but you want to go and start replacing transistors because because you've learned that, hey, if a coil is either locked on or not working, like that could be working backwards. The transistor could be bad or open, the wire's off the coil. So just following that in my troubleshooting process has made me like a 10 times better tech, because it's like especially knowing that, hey, when you dynamite that board open, you might not even know what to do. But no, with the Starcade, I'm glad you touched on that. Yeah, because so one of the things that when that kind of came up is, I know there's like 6-7 pins there, and again, following the tournaments and the events is like, I always kind of saw like, hey, this could be a cool spot for that. And I know, you're doing the fighting game tournaments, but it's definitely pretty high on my list to add that into the the group of locations that kind of host stuff that that the players can come to, because the more the merrier, and I know not every operator would agree with that they want you to come to their spot, but I think you can see with the growth of classic arcades, pinball, there's so many more people that are into it, and that it's good for everybody. It's good for all the aspects of the hobby to have more people, more interest. Like you see more parts being reproduced and more, like I'm not gonna do a run on this board unless there's 100 of them. So I'm really excited to make that kind of a pinball spot, I guess, is the point. And I think Brian's kind of angle is like, yeah, we want to have like the premium machines and limited edition machines, and I think that's smart because of the space constrictions of it's probably going to be limited to that, probably 8 or less, unless it blows up and it's like, hey, let's make room for more games. But I'm excited to kind of push that angle and just have some of these casual events, and if we get into doing serious tournaments, that'll be good too.
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you have arcade heroes like that are related to pinball? Like, do you have like a top 5 of people that either they're players that play pinball or designers? I'm just curious, like in the pinball realm, who do you look up to?
So, I mean, the obvious one is Elwin. I mean, Keith Elwin is, I remember probably close to 10 years ago, there's a guy, Fred Richardson, used to be the IFP rep, and he passed the torch to me when he moved to South Carolina. But he said to me at Expo, he pointed and said, "There's the best pinball player in the world, Keith Elwin." I didn't know him from Adam, but he is, a phenomenal player, typically ranked number 1. But, since he's been working for Stern, which, God, how long is that now? Like 6 years, 5 years? He started with Iron Maiden, did Jurassic Park, Avengers, and now Godzilla. And I think those are basically the list of the best, 4 titles that Stern has done. Personally, that's what I personally think is that they're the perfect balance of layout, code, challenge, something new for beginners. So that's somebody that I admire, that I certainly like, and I'm a fanboy of his games and his playing, and he's just a really nice dude. And then other than that, I'd say, people, I guess, that are friends that I also admire and appreciate their labor. Tom Graff, who is the Fox City's streamer on Twitch, and they basically have streaming all of the events at District 82, which, by the way, is an excellent venue if you're in the Green Bay area, De Pere, Wisconsin. They probably have 120, 130 machines, immaculate condition, color DMDs, and I will say they have more play fields and back boxes. They probably have at least $300,000 just in play fields and back boxes on the walls. So like up above, and it's like going around the entire space, and it's just like, how did you collect? You know, when you were talking about your friend who has all just the back boxes, I'm like, I wonder if that's where District 82 gets their back boxes from, because it's literally like, I'm like, you could sell. I mean, these are all worth money. It's all money. I mean, but no, that but they're doing these massive tournaments, 6-player or 6 days, 4 days, 6 tournaments, where they're all, you know, and now every good player around the country and even internationally is coming to Little Green Bay, to do these tournaments. So Eric Thorin, who runs those, you know, definitely look up to and admire. Tom Graff. I mean, pretty much anybody, I guess, who is pushing this forward. Obviously, Zach Sharp, who works for Stern now. Josh Sharp, who's the International Flipper Pinball president. Yeah, I mean, these are all people that do a lot of work for the community, and I would put all those people on a pedestal, I guess.
Nice.
That's cool. That sounds like you're going to end up being someone to look up to in the community too. I have a quick question for you before we wrap. Tell us about some of your latest wins.
Wins. So last night, Blainbrook, which you know, is usually a mostly classics tournament. It's about 40 players. Took that down. Then there was the 007 launch party.
Nice.
Grand champ.
Wow.
Took that down in a whopping field of 14, but a win is a win. And then that tournament, the other normal strikes tournament. So I've had a few good ones just this week. But I'm trying to get into our state tournament, which I don't know if I mentioned, but we've had an expanded field of 24 players, normally 16. We're now 24. We're a super state, which means we had 100 unique players and 100 unique events and 400 unique players. So it's growing, and I got to make the tournament because I'm running the tournament. So I should probably be in it and play in it, right?
Yeah.
I better.
That's pretty cool. Well, Ben, I want to thank you for being on the show tonight.
It's been a blast.
Yeah, we really appreciate stick through our shenanigans. You know, it's always fun to have somebody, a fourth person, to hang out and sort of chime in every so often. Makes the show a little more interesting. Plus, really awesome topic tonight. Check it out, guys. 7th season. We're on our 3rd episode,
right? And
we've had 2 pinball guests. That's pretty good.
Back to back.
Not bad. Now we got to get some of those women
watching
on.
The Gomez. I was replaying that before we jumped on here.
Yeah.
And what a nice guy. I mean, what a great
so
dude.
nice.
So much knowledge too. I mean, I'm like, man, he's dropping some jewels in this thing, you know. That's why I had to shut it off, because I'm like, yeah, you're gonna sound clunky, but that's okay. You're not George Gomez. That's fine.
Oh, you've been fabulous. You've been great. In fact,
yes.
Stick with us after we sign off, and we'll give you a proper
pat on the back goodbye.
Yeah, pat on the back.
Sweet.
You know, your payment is in the mail.
Yes.
So, you guys, I'm not even on. Are you on the page?
I'm ready.
Let's spin it up. We're ready to go.
Adam's always the first person that talks when we get to this page.
So thanks for listening in. This has been the double R's. That's Arcade Radio.
Check out our website, RcadeRadio.com. That's RcadeRadio.com for all of your social media and swag links.
Hey, I rearranged the order of these so that I could read things Brian normally reads. Call and leave comments, just like Bobby Z at 612-548-GAME. That's 4263.
Or maybe pick up some swag over at arcaderadio.creator-spring.com or whatever the hell it is, spring.com/arcaderadio. Or consider supporting us on Patreon, because nobody else does. It's super cool. It's like $3. It's not a big deal. Any bit helps with the cost of running the show.
You can subscribe to Mark's OnlyFans. Subscribe to our Twitch channel. Follow us and click the notification bell. So you'll know when we're streaming live. That's Twitch/RcadeRadio.
Luckily, his mic was not right up to his face.
I only have a mini vids. Anyway, if you like what you're hearing, consider dropping a 5-star review on Anchor, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you consume our podcast.
That's going to be it for tonight's show. From us to you, we hope you had a blast, and we'll see you on the next episode. Oh, so maybe he's dance. Turn the music up. Oh, yeah.
I mean, only one of us made $50 doing videos today.
That was on TikTok. That's okay.
Oh my gosh. We haven't danced this year in a while. 17 pounds, Mark.
Nice.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna hang up. All right, I'm gonna hang up this thing. Oh boy. Oh
no,
boy.
you hang up.
Don't hang up. Don't hang up.